Hi everyone, so I finally finished my list of the 20 worst products from 20 brands. 2 months ago I did the 20 best, and I just find that, I don't know, it must be like a traumatic memory that I've blocked out, but I tend to forget really, really bad products unless I've recently used them or they were truly so bad that, you know, they've left a scar. Honestly, yeah, it was really hard to come up with this list because I tend to forget about things that I don't like. It must be a coping mechanism, I don't know. Let's go in alphabetical order again. We're gonna start with one that I actually forgot about, but then when I was thinking about brands, what brands haven't I talked about? Beauty Blender is one that came to mind. Now, they don't have a ton of products. They have mostly sponges, like they haven't really stepped outside the box. They have a foundation that they've recently released, like after years of having the Beauty Blender out, which I've heard mixed things about, but the product I wanna talk about today is their liquid cleanser. Now, I bought that liquid cleanser in about 2015, I think, or 2016, just after my wedding, thank goodness, because that cleanser broke me out so bad. Not only did it give me a bad reaction, but it is an expensive cleanser. I think that's $28 in Australia versus $2.80 for the Daiso Puff and Sponge. I mean, I really recommend that if you're looking for an inexpensive sponge cleanser over the Beauty Blender one, because that one was a no-go. I had to throw it out. Do not have good memories of that cleanser. Now, the second brand is BECCA, and the product that I'm going to talk about is one that I've already decluttered, and this is one of their champagne splits. It was the Pamplemousse one with the Prosecco Pop highlighter. I bought it for the hype, and it didn't live up to it for me. Because I didn't use it and because I didn't think the shades and the texture was particularly impressive, I moved that one along. Yeah, I don't know. For me, BECCA is one of those brands that has kind of, over the years, just gone downhill. I don't feel like they've kind of held on to things. They just won't let go and bring out new exciting things. From Charlotte Tilbury, this is a product that I had in my last year's project pan, and I hated it so much that I had to get rid of it before I even finished it. And this is the Unisex Healthy Glow. Now, I bought this because Wayne Goss had raved on about how great it was and how great it makes your skin look and everything, and it was definitely overhyped. You know, obviously everything works differently for different people, different skin tones, whatever, but I just felt like that was a product that not only did nothing really amazing to my skin, but it smelled terrible as well. I had no place for it in my collection. Charlotte Tilbury is a higher end brand, and so for a product to not work the way you expect it to, I felt like it was a massive waste of money, so wasn't happy with that one. Colourpop. The first thing that comes to mind is their Ultra Matte Liquid Lipsticks. I bought a whole bunch of them back in the day, back when I hadn't tried many other liquid lipsticks, and I thought, you know, for $5 US, it's a pretty good way to test out whether or not you like a color. But the formula itself, it just was so drying and it cracked and everything that I just did not enjoy them. It's one of my least favorite, if not the worst formula of matte liquid lipstick I've ever tried. My sister did say that they have reformulated, so I don't know if they're now a bit more comfortable and they don't crack on the lips anymore. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely not want to pick any more of their matte liquid lipsticks up and try them out. From Fenty Beauty, the Mademoiselle lipsticks. I don't like them because they're the kind of matte lipsticks that I despise. They are quite dry, they kind of tug on the lips, and they don't wear well either. And on top of that, I find the packaging to be quite plasticky and cheap feeling, which I don't particularly like. Yeah, I don't know. I do not like the lipsticks. I would not buy any more of their lipsticks based on my experience. Huda Beauty. Now, I don't think many people actually talk about this particular product, maybe because other people are having the same experience as me, but I really did not like their lash glue. I don't know what's wrong with the lash glue that I had, but it just did not stick. It didn't stick, and I did the whole wait for 30 seconds, wait for a minute for it to dry, and it was really useless in my opinion. Maybe I had a faulty one, I don't know, but it worked so poorly and it wasn't cheap either. Having said that, now I hardly use lash glue. I hardly wear lashes nowadays. I'm at that stage where I'm just way too lazy to wear, you know, lashes. I know it does elevate your look sometimes, but I can't be bothered most of the time with false lashes. IT Cosmetics. I've actually finished up this whole product and I wasn't really enjoying it at all during the time, but I made myself use it because I didn't want to waste product. The Universal Brow Pencil. I don't really feel like there is a very good universal shade of brow because everyone has different brow hair color. And it was kind of like a gray color, so I really don't feel like that would work on a lot of people, especially if you have like blonde hair, you know, red hair. And I don't like brands that say those things because it's just not true. It's one of those products that came in my Beautylish Lucky Bag one year, and I definitely would not have bought it had it not been in that bag, which is kind of why nowadays I don't really go for Lucky Bags, just because I feel like a lot of the products in there I wouldn't have bought, and for good reason. But I just felt like that pencil, it didn't give a good precise line. I felt like when I did my brows with that pencil, they always turned out pretty mediocre. And so I'm really glad to have finished it up and moved it on because yeah, I didn't enjoy it when I was using it. From MAC, I actually have two products. One which is a limited edition product, I think it's limited edition, and then one which is a permanent product. Gold Light Fix Plus. I absolutely dislike that spray. I just think the original is still the best. The Gold Light one, especially as you get further down into the bottle, the concentration of the gold pigment just gets in your face, and when you spray it on, it looks like you've got random specks of gold. Now, Kat Kitchnich did mention that the way she gets around it is she tips it upside down to kind of get the pigments down, and then kind of scrapes it off so there's less of it, and then puts the lid back on. And I think that I wish I had known that because I probably would have not been so frustrated. But yeah, I mean, I did use the majority of Up because I, again, hate to waste product, but I really didn't like it. I don't think it did what I thought it was going to do, which was to give myself a beautiful glow. I did not like it at all, and I would not repurchase that or recommend it. Now, the permanent product that I want to mention from MAC is the Dazzle Glosses. I feel like that is the reason why I never liked lip glosses, because whenever I thought of a lip gloss, I thought of the MAC Dazzle Glosses, and they're the kind of glosses that you think of when you think of bad lip glosses. Like, they're sticky, they're thick, they're uncomfortable, and they're just everything in a lip gloss formula that I do not want. So I think for a long time I never really got into lip glosses because, like, that was the experience that I had with lip glosses compared to the lip gloss formulas we have nowadays that are much better. And look, I don't know if they have reformulated, but maybe there's a reason why people don't talk about MAC Dazzle Glosses. Maybelline. Okay, so this product is actually in my project pan, and I finished it up entirely, but I really didn't like it. By the end of when I finished the product, everything had just gone. The label, everything, it's just rubbed off. And on top of that, the rose gold foil on the pump actually rubs off as well, and it gets into the product, which I really do not like. There are cheap products out there, or affordable products out there, that have packaging that actually holds up. This doesn't. And on top of that, I don't feel like this primer actually gives an illuminating effect. Like, I feel like I've got other products that does a much better job, like this Seas of Illumination highlighting liquid, the Iconic Drops. If you pump that in with some primer, put that on, you're gonna have that same glow. Of course, you know, price point's different, but I just do not like that product at all. I don't think it worked from a packaging point of view. I don't think it worked from a what it claimed to do point of view. So yeah, I was really actually quite disappointed with that. And luckily I did buy that on the Priceline half off sale, because I would not have been happy had I paid full price. Melt Cosmetics. So I bought the 27 palette when it came out as a consolation prize when I didn't get the Gemini palette because it was sold out everywhere, and I hated it because I feel like it's one of those palettes that it's like a one-trick pony where you could only get one look out of it. The shimmers were just everywhere, and I actually saw Beauty News do a makeup breakup on the Melt Cosmetics palettes recently, where Kat found mold on her Gemini palette, and that really freaked me out, and I had to go and look at my own palettes to see if I was having the same issues. When I got the Melt Cosmetics palettes, the shimmers came like pretty much crumbled already, and I had to press it back in with, you know, my finger, so just that it wouldn't, you know, just fall out everywhere. And they do puff back up. There is an issue with the formula in the palettes, and so I would be very hesitant to buy any more Melt Cosmetics palettes because of that issue. Luckily, mine haven't got mold on them yet. And in fact, I was going to, you know, see if I could pass this palette along to one of my friends because it's basically an untouched palette, but I'm just really afraid that it's gonna grow mold on it. So I'm yeah, a bit worried about that. But yeah, like I said, the 27 palette, for the fact that the color story in there just doesn't do it for me. It hasn't got enough depth, it hasn't got enough variety. I just feel like you can only create one look with it, really. It wasn't the smartest purchasing decision. Had I known what I know now, I wouldn't have bought it. So that's a real regret of mine. From Natasha Denona, we've got the Crystal Top Coat, and this is in the shade Grey Brown. I got this and it has dried up so quickly. It is completely unusable now. I actually did want to test out whether or not this could work if I put some Duraline in. So let's just try that now actually. I just added a few drops in here of my Duraline, see if that helps revive it. I need to give it some time to soak in, but I didn't like this because for the price and the fact that it dries up so quickly. Like I've had Giorgio Armani, those similar to this for years and they were fine, and this just dried up in like, I feel like 6 months. Well, it's made it a little bit greasier. I think I might have to give it a little bit of time, but it does help it a little bit, the Duraline, but I wouldn't buy it again because of the fact that it dries up so quickly, and I don't want to, you know, have to rehydrate it every single time I use it. So I think this is a waste of money, personally. They're very pretty, don't get me wrong. It's just they dry up way too quickly, even though I've kept the cap on really tight, kept it in a dark place, in a cool dark place, and they just don't hold up. So I don't think it's worth the money. I would not buy any more Chroma Crystal top coats. Luckily, like I said, I only have one. Like I would have been really annoyed if I had bought like a whole ton of colors, which I was tempted to do, but I don't do that anymore. From NYX, the Vivid Brights liners. I do not like the Vivid Brights liners. I bought a couple when I was in the US. They kind of go on really runny, they dry down, and then they just crack and crumble. And on top of that, I really don't like the brush tip as well. I just find that it doesn't really help you get a good line very easily. Like you really have to be very good with liner in order to make them work. I feel like I just don't feel like they're easy to use. So unfortunately, I don't get along with those liners. I still feel like it's easier to get, you know, some Duraline and some loose shadow and just make it into a liner. I just find that that's just easier, and I find that I always get a better line with that than when I use one of these kind of pens. The silver lining is that they weren't expensive. Okay, so let's move on to STILA. Now, I bought one of their Glitter and Glow mini sets, and I love the Glitter and Glow liquid eyeshadows. I just find that they're just the easiest way to apply glitter without the mess. You know, if you like glitter and you don't want mess and you want ease of application, I think they're a great product. But the minis, that's a different story. Less than a year of when I had purchased them, I went to use them and they were all dried up. Whereas my full-size shadows are perfectly fine. I've bought them even before I got the minis and they work well still. I tried to rehydrate it with some Duraline and that does not work. So unfortunately they're unusable and I had to throw them away because I just cannot get them to work. And because they're like in such small bottles and you have to swirl the doe foot applicator around, you really just can't get any product out. So I would not recommend getting the minis of the Glitter and Glows unless you plan on using them within the, you know, within a few months, because they just dry out so quickly. Yeah, let me know if you've experienced the same thing as well. I'd be interested to know, or am I just one of those really unlucky people? I don't know. Now from SUOQU, I love SUOQU and I feel like you know, most of their products that I've tried, the vast majority of products that I've tried from them have been amazing. But the one product that really stands out that I did not like and didn't get along with was one of their powders that I had for one of my project pans last year. I felt like their powders kind of don't sit on the skin very well. It emphasized dry lines and I just didn't enjoy it. I was really, yeah, disappointed by that product because it's a brand that I find most things work for me. It's a higher end Japanese brand, so it's not cheap. Since then, I know that they have got new powders out, but I'm really hesitant to try them just because of the past experience I've had. It was just not a good powder product, unfortunately. From Tatcha, it's this Luminous Dewy Skin Mist. This is a really expensive skin mist. I think it's something like 70 Australian dollars here for like 40 mils, and it's just, I don't get the hype around this. I honestly do not. I don't think it does anything special to my skin at all. I don't see a difference. So I definitely wouldn't repurchase this. I feel like this is a really overpriced spray. I just feel like this doesn't give me anything extra. I feel like what gives me the luminous skin is my skincare and my, you know, primers. 3, I want to talk about these gloss for eyes, okay? I bought these gloss for eyes, I think in the last Japan trip or the trip before. These are the products I'm talking about. This is one of them, and this is kind of like in a more matte formula. You're supposed to just put this on your eyes just to give it a little bit of pigment, but I really feel like it doesn't give very much at all. And this is another one which has got a more metallic finish. And again, it's quite greasy as well. Like I don't feel like it sits that well in the eyes. It does give a little bit of sheen to them, but I don't know. I did not like these. I feel like they're just very overpriced for what they do, which is not much. I'd rather just use like a cream blush or a lipstick just to add some color on the eyelids. I think that would give a much better effect than what these do. I don't know, maybe it's not my aesthetic. Maybe it's a bit too no makeup for me. Rouge Bunny Rouge. Now this product was in my project pan for this year and I've taken it out because I hated it. And that was the Light Corrective Eye Primer. It's got a sponge tip applicator. So I used it as a primer to put, you know, eyeshadow on. It just didn't work. It just made my eyes look a bit ashy. And then if I used it on the under eye area, it also just clings to dry patches and things, like clings to like lines. It just didn't look good. Everywhere I used it, it just did not work for me. It's like a concealer, but it doesn't work on the under eyes. It doesn't work on the mobile lid. I don't know what it's supposed to do, but whatever it's supposed to do, it's not doing it. It's pilling, which is what it does, and that's why I really hate it. Now, last brand is Urban Decay, and that is their liners. And I know some people love them, but I don't. They do not last on my waterline. They kind of tug, and I would not repurchase those again. They're kind of useless products to me, because, you know, you do expect a liner to actually last the whole day. I do anyway, you know. And I find a better alternative to those are the Kiko Milano long lasting sticks, and I really like the Marc Jacobs highlighter as well. I feel like those last throughout the day. The Urban Decay liners unfortunately don't, although I do love the shades that they have, so that's kind of a disappointing thing. So once again, I can't count, and I'm just going to blame that on pregnancy brain. But number 19 I did lift off my list. That is from Pat McGrath. Now I'm a huge Pat McGrath fan. I like a lot of her products, although they are mostly very, very expensive. But this product I got as part of the Skin Fetish set with the highlighter, and that is the Skin Fetish Buffer Brush. It is very prickly. It's very synthetic and cheap feeling. And it's very disappointing that, you know, that she's released a brush like that. I had a lot high expectations for a brand of that caliber, and I have since decluttered it. If you've seen my face brush declutter, that's gone. Last brand I want to talk about is Sugarpill. You might guess it if you have been following me for a while, is their liquid lipsticks. I cannot stand the smell of their liquid lipsticks. I find them to be very, very strong. Look, I do have a sensitive nose, especially right now. But even when I don't, these are really, really strong, and they're sickening to me. I do also want to specifically mention the shade Euphoria. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous teal green shade, and I bought that because it matched my hair at the time. But unfortunately, that shade doesn't go on very well. It does need quite a lot of layering. I found it to be a really tricky shade to use, and it does kind of crack. It doesn't last very well on the lips, unfortunately. So I'm not going to be buying any more Sugarpill liquid lipsticks from now on. I have since given them all to my sister, I believe. So those were the 20 worst products from 20 brands, and the majority I don't have in my life anymore, so that's great. But I do still have some of them in my collection. Why? I don't know. I need to throw them away. Anyway, I hope you found this entertaining. Let me know what your worst product is. Do we have any in common? Did I mention any products that you absolutely love? And if I did, then great. Like, I'm so glad it works for you, but unfortunately, these really didn't work for me. And yeah, sometimes that's how it is. Sometimes it's a bit of trial and error with makeup. You know, you buy some things, you expect it to work, and it just doesn't, and that's life. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.